Okay, so what we're going to do today, which we have done when we did the review for skills you may or may not remember from grade 10, is we're going to be factoring what we call tricky trinomials, or trinomials where the value of our a coefficient is something other than 1. For example, 3, like down here. Now, I taught you can use decomposition, but I'm going to show you another way to do it. And to be honest, whichever way you prefer, just do it that way. I'm never going to ask you, do it this way or do it that way. Okay, so what I'll do first is I'll review decomposition so that you remember what that is, because it's been a few weeks. And then I will show you a different way of doing it. So let's look at this example. Here you have 2x squared plus 4x minus 6. And technically in this example, again, it's not actually a tricky trinomial. It's a simple trinomial. You should always first look for a common factor. So in this case, every coefficient is even. So if we pull out the common factor of 2, then we're left with just x squared plus 2x minus 3. Now it's just a simple question of what two numbers multiply to give you negative 3 and add to give you positive 2, which turn out to be 3 and negative 1. Okay, but this one down here, I don't see a common factor there. So this is definitely a tricky trinomial. Now with decomposition, what we did for decomposition was we would take the a and c coefficients and multiply them. So 3 times 8, which is 24. Then what we did is we said, what two numbers multiply to give you 24 and add to give you 14? What two numbers multiply to give you 24 and add to give you 14? And it turns out those two numbers are 12 and 2. Okay, so 12 times 2 is 24. 12 plus 2 is 14. So what we do then is we rewrite this, and I'm going to do it up over here. We would leave the first term as it is. We'd leave the last term as it is. And then the middle term, the 14x, we would split up into those two numbers, 12 and 2, both having your x variable with it. So plus 12x plus 2x. And then from this point, we would do factor by grouping. So we would look at this group, and we would look at this group. Right? Now the first group, you pull out a common factor, in this case 3x. So we can pull out a 3x, and we're left with x plus 4. Our second one, and we can pull out a common factor. In this case it would be 2, so plus 2, and we're left with x plus 4. As long as you do it right, you'll always get the same bracket. Okay? And that will be our common factor. So we can pull out that to have x plus 4 all times by what we have left over here, 3x plus 2. And you can write it in whichever order you want. You can put this bracket first if you needed to, and this bracket second. The order of the brackets doesn't matter because they're multiplying. Okay? X times y is the same as y times x. Let me pause there, see if everybody's okay with decomposition. So I'm going to go over another method today. The steps are right over here. So let's do the exact same question. Let's do this 3x squared plus 14x plus 8. Okay, so we're going to factor this exact same question. And how we're going to do that is we're going to sort of do two columns, right? One here and one here. For the first column, we have our a coefficient, which is 3. And we need two numbers that multiply to give you 3. We really only have one option here, 1 and 3. Those are the only two numbers that will multiply to give us 3. So let's write 1 and 3. All right. Then over here, we need two numbers that multiply to give us 8. Here is where we have a little bit more options. Right? We could say 2 and 4. We could say 4 and 2. Right? And we can also say 8 and 1 or 1 and 8. So I'm going to use a pencil instead of my coloring pencils. And let's say I choose 1 and 8, for example. Now we have to test if this combination works. So what we do is we do a little x, right, and we multiply those. So 3 and 1 multiply to give us 3, and 8 and 1 multiply to give us 8. Now that 3 and this 8 should add to give us that, I forgot the x here, should add to give us that middle term, our b coefficient. In this case, it didn't work, right? 8 plus 3 is 11, not 14. So what we do, and this method really is more of a guess and check method, is we can try another combination. You might want to try 8 and 1, but you might not, because you might realize 8 times 3, no, it's way above 14, that's not going to work. So let's try 4 and 2, for example. 4 times 3 is 12, and 2 times 1 is 2. So do those numbers add to give you 14? Well, yes. 12 plus 2 give us 14. So this here is the combination that works. And so how are we now going to translate that into two binomials? Well, here is your x term. So you have 1x and a positive 4. So x plus 4. Right, our first column is our x term. And if you want, you can label this like x column and our coefficient column. So this is 3x, okay? And this is a positive 2, so plus 2. And then notice we get the same thing as above. Okay? So this is another strategy you can use. I find that what I usually do is I look at a tricky trinomial and I try it this way, but I don't try it for long because sometimes there might be too many different combinations to try. And so if I notice that there's too many options and I can't really see which one is going to work, I go and do decomposition. Right? But it's always good to have multiple strategies in your head that you can use. So let's do, actually let me stop there, see if there's any questions. Alright, so let's do another one. Okay, so here we have 3x squared plus 4x minus 4. So let's start with the 3. Two numbers that multiply give you 3. Again, this is nice because we only have one option. Usually when I see there's only one option, I tend to choose this method because you can get to the right answer fairly quickly if there's really only one option. This one has two options. It's a negative, so don't forget there's a negative there. So you need two numbers that multiply to give you negative 4. Well, you can choose 4 and negative 1, or you can choose 1 and negative 4, or 2 and negative 2. Okay, let me try 1 and negative 4. Doesn't matter. So when we do our x, right, these two numbers multiply to give us negative 4, and these multiply to give us positive 3. Negative 4 plus 3 is 1. I need them to add to 4 for our b coefficient. So that doesn't work. So let's get rid of this one. I know that 1 and 3 are good, because that's the only combination we have that can multiply to give us 3. You could reverse these and try it. I could do a minus 4 up here, but then I see, well, 3 times minus 4, that's negative 12. That's not going to be anywhere near 4. So let's try the 2 and the negative 2. 2 and negative 2 multiply to give us negative 4. Okay. But does this combination work? So these two numbers multiply to give negative 2 and positive 6. 6, negative 2. So 6 subtract 2 is positive 4. So it works. So that means our answer would be 1x, so I don't need to write the 1, plus 2. So x plus 2. And our other one is 3x minus 2. Okay, alright, so let's do this one using decomposition. It's going to go up where I have a little bit more room here. I'll try to squeeze it in there. So let's take our a and our c coefficients and multiply them. So 3 times negative 4 gives us negative 12. So now I need two numbers that multiply to give negative 12 and add to give 4. Okay, so maybe 6 and negative 2. 6 times negative 2 gives us negative 12, and they add to give 4. Alright, so let's rewrite this. Here I have the 3x squared. The positive 4 I'm going to change into plus 6 and negative 2. And then I still have this negative 4, our c coefficient at the end. That we're going to split into our grouping, so we're going to factor by grouping. Looks like the first one, I can pull out a 3x. So you can see where things are starting to come together now. So I pull out a 3x, and I'm left with, ooh, what do you know? I'm left with x plus 2. Okay, now here, I want to have x plus 2 in the bracket. I want that same bracket. But this is minus 2x minus 4. So I can pull out a 2, but if I only pull out a 2, I'm left with minus x minus 2. So to make this bracket positive, I'm going to pull out the negative with it. So now I have x plus 2. Right? There is our common factor. If we pull out our common factor, we have x plus 2, all multiplied by 3x minus 2. Okay, so this is a surefire algorithm that will get you to the right answer. And this is a shorter, could be shorter depending on how many different possibilities there are. It could be a lot longer. Okay? But it's more of a guess and check method to end up with the right answer.